To make this project, you're going to need a few supplies. I have some Cricut Value paper that's 8.5 inches by 11 inches. Black Value vinyl. Transfer tape, a pen, and lastly, some ribbons for the bookmarks. There are 3 layers over here in the right-hand side layer panel. You're going to cut and weed the vinyl first, draw the pen mark on this pink piece second, and lastly, cut the bookmark shapes out of the piece of paper. This project is made using one single piece of paper. We are going to cut and weed the vinyl first, draw the registration mark on the piece of paper so we can easily line up the vinyl, and then finally cut that piece of paper to make our bookmarks. We're going to start by making the black vinyl layer first. Cricut's Value vinyl is a little bit different than their traditional vinyl in the sense that the back does not have a paper backing. So this would look like iron-on, but it is the new Value vinyl line. It's much more affordable. I really like how easily it weeds and how it transfers off the backing. But if ever you're unsure on which side is actually the material side, you can always take your tool and just lift a corner and see which side is transparent and which side is color. So you can see here with the vinyl, this backing is like a clear plastic see-through, and the front side is the side that appears to be vinyl with the color. You're just going to place it down on your mat and select the Value vinyl material option. In Design Space, you want to make sure that the mat on the left-hand side corresponds with the material you're cutting. The order isn't really important, especially if you're doing a project that requires a different order. But you just want to be sure that every mat does get a little check mark in the top left-hand corner to say that it's been completed. We're going to start with the vinyl layer. I'm using Value vinyl, so I'll browse for that material in the search box. And then we can load and cut. Flip the mat and peel it off. Now that we have the vinyl cut and weeded, we can place it to the side and start marking the bookmarks. Cricut has 2 different cardstock packs available in the Value line. This one is the pastel sampler, so it has a pink, blue, and a light green cardstock. The other pack is the Bright Bow sampler. In this one, you're going to find a blue, an orangey shade of yellow, and red. These smaller pieces of paper are great for projects that don't need a full sheet of 12 by 12, or for Joy Extra users, you'll no longer have to cut down your cardstock to fit it into your machine. Place the paper on the mat horizontally. Now that the first mat is cut, a little check mark will appear and it will automatically send you down to the second mat. We want to cut the pink mat second. So select the pink mat and then choose the corresponding paper. I'm using the Value paper, so again, I'm going to choose Value paper up here. This whole project is done on one mat, so you don't want to remove the paper off the mat. You're going to apply the vinyl directly on top of the paper and line it up using the registration marks. The registration mark will just act as a guide to show you where you're looking to apply the vinyl to make sure that it lines up with your bookmarks. To apply the transfer tape, we're going to do the hinge method. So peel down the corner and reveal about 1 inch of tape. So you're going to take this hinge and apply it so that a piece touches the table to adhere it in place, and that it also touches the paper. Once you have the transfer tape applied, you can come to the other side now, remove some of the paper. For the transfer tape to work best, you want to flip it over, scrape the back. Then when you're removing the liner, you can just fold the liner on itself, peel and roll. If you notice any little pieces are staying stuck to your liner, you can just push it back down. But I really like how easily the value vinyl removes. When it comes time to apply the vinyl, I like to use a piece of parchment paper. This just allows me to move the design around and be sure that it's accurate before I press it down to apply. Just make sure there's a little bit of tape at the top and at the side that you can use to tack it down when you get it in the right spot. So you want to line up the registration marks to make sure that it is completely straight for when it comes time to cut. Once you have it in place, you can put down the transfer tape on the side, lift it and remove that piece of parchment paper, and finish applying with your scraper. Once the transfer tape is applied, grab the corner and peel it back across the paper. The value paper really makes this project so much easier. I tried it with regular paper and it was much harder to transfer over. Now back in Design Space, we are ready for the last cut. The first mat has a check mark. The second pink mat has a check mark. Now we're going to cut the orange mat last. Use a spatula or bend and peel them off the mat to prevent bending and tearing. All that's left to do is to add ribbon. I don't do anything really too fancy. I just cut a simple piece of satin ribbon, thread it through the hole, I tie a little knot, and then I trim the edges. So to trim the edges, just fold it in half, and I like to cut it on a triangle to make those fancy looking pieces at the edge. These bookmarks are quick and easy to make this Halloween, especially if you're not that great at layering. The packs of value paper come with 80 pieces of paper for $12, so it's a great deal and makes a project like this really affordable as a Halloween favor or for your classroom.